Bonjour tout le monde, je suis Stéphane, bienvenue sur SPD Nordic Vision. That's right, I'm trying to speak French, and in today's video I will be talking something about France and Nordic countries. So today I have a very special guest to my channel, which is my friend Héloïse.
Hi!
And she's from France, and today we will be talking about actually not only one but two countries, sort of like culture difference compare. One is between Iceland and France, and the second is Denmark and France. I will be making these videos for two parts, so you can focus on one at each. Okay, without further ado, first of all, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience in 4 different languages? I know that you speak 4 different languages.
Yeah, I can try.
Okay.
Is there a specific order you want me to do?
Yeah.
I can start in English, so it will be easier. So my name is Héloïse. I come from France, as Stefan said, and I'm here studying at Iceland, and I'm studying Icelandic and Danish. And I can try in Icelandic. So jeg heter Héloïse, og jeg er 20 år 5 år. Og jeg lærer islandsk her i Háskóla Íslands, og mér finnst mjög gaman að læra islandsk. Og jeg kan også tale dansk, og jeg studerer dansk. Og jeg studerer dansk i Frankrig og også her på Háskóla Íslands. Og jeg tror det er meget godt at tale begge to islandsk og dansk her, fordi jeg tror at jeg forstår mere når folk taler. And je peux aussi parler français et dire que je suis étudiante ici à l'université d'Islande et que c'est bien sympathique et que ça change beaucoup de l'université en France, et du coup je vais répondre à d'autres questions par rapport à ça plus tard.
Wow, bravo. Welcome to my channel.
Thank you so much.
So this video will be video part 1. So we'll be mainly focusing on talking about the difference between Iceland and France. So tell me, Héloïse, since you're from France, how does it feel like to grow up in France? And what is the good and the bad things that you can think of?
I think that to grow, like to be raised in France is like, everybody knows where I come from every time I say I'm from France, so this is one good thing. And but everybody like always has some cliche from every time I say that I come from France. So I sometimes say, yeah, I'm from Paris. I'm not from Paris at all, but it's just like to help people understand a bit. And I think that one of the bad things of growing in France is that in France we really like to talk French, always French, and we do not speak other languages. So it's also sometimes a bit difficult to go out of this bubble and to go abroad, because there is also this people see like French people as people who just speak French, so it's sometimes a bit difficult to get out of it. But otherwise, yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, but I guess French people, when they travel abroad, they would try to speak English, or they would still try to speak French.
Yeah, well, I think there are two types of French people. I think there is like a very good type that thinks that everybody would understand French, or like English with a very Frenchy accent. If I speak to you like this, this is mostly what French people speak, because it's very French, and we don't make the effort to speak English normally.
Yeah.
Or then you can also, there are also some people who try to like erase a bit the accent and try to be a bit more international.
Right. Yes. Yeah. While you were trying to do French accent, it reminds me a very famous TV show on Netflix last year, Emily in Paris.
Okay.
Yeah. How do you feel about it as a French French person?
I have to say I have not watched it, but I have heard a lot about it.
Okay.
I think that it is also like all the good views of France, all the. I think it's true, but it's the, like a special type of reality.
Yeah.
And it's not the whole of it. I think most of it is also very like pretty for the camera and everything, but it's not 100% what happens in real life.
And also the stories happened in Paris, so it's not really happened in the place where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
So would you tell like a big difference, like the place where you were born and Paris? Is there a big difference? Because people only know France, just Paris. They feel Paris is everything.
Yes, so I come from a city called Reims, which is in the Champagne region. So it's like 1.5 hour away by car from Paris. It's smaller, of course, and I think the mentality or the way of living is different. It's less multicultural, and it's I don't know. It feels like in Paris, like everything is always like moving, and there are so many people interacting together, and like you can meet with anybody in Paris. Whereas in my town, it's more like a historical town.
Yeah.
So I think it's very different, and if you have a specific image of Paris, just think that if you go to another part of France, it will not be the same. And everything that is very like bright and very like chic from Paris does not always like, you cannot always see it in other cities.
The second question I would like to ask you is that how did you end up in Iceland?
Ooh, that's a very good question. It's because I had a friend who was working here, and one time I just spent 1 week here to visit her, and then I kind of fell in love with the country after 1 week.
Yeah. And
then I decided to learn Icelandic in France, to do like a bachelor degree in Icelandic. And for my last year of bachelor, I could do like a student exchange here, and I ended up here. And I'm hoping to stay here for a long time because it's very nice.
Yeah. Okay, the third question I would like to ask you is that, of course, I will also ask my other guests, how do you feel about learning Icelandic, and is it difficult for you?
At the very beginning, when you learn the basics, I think for me it's very difficult. Because it was already difficult to learn German when I was younger, so Icelandic is definitely more difficult than German, so it was kind of a big challenge. But I think that at a certain point you kind of understand how the grammar works and how the language itself works, so then it becomes a bit more easier. So now I am in the easier part of learning Icelandic.
Right.
So I think now it's not this much difficult.
I know that you have learned Danish, but was it before or after Icelandic?
In fact, it was at the same time.
Okay.
Because in my university we had to choose 2 Nordic languages, and so I studied them both at the same time. So at first it was very, very difficult and struggling because they look alike, and they're both new for me. So it was really, I was talking Danish in Icelandic classes and vice versa.
Yes, so you would actually confuse.
Yes, even now there are some words that I always confuse because they're very similar. But it's just that then I'm thinking, I should just put a little Icelandic accent on it, so even if I'm speaking Danish, I'm just putting it into the Icelandic.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that you survived from learning Icelandic.
Thank you.
Okay, now I have a big question for you.
Okay.
So, as a French who live in Iceland now, what do you say the biggest difference between Iceland and France?
Oh yeah, that's a tough question. I would say that there are like, the first thing that comes into my mind is that there are differences in like the way of talking to people or greeting people.
Yeah.
Because in France, like, it is known that we hug a lot or we kiss a lot, and there is always this small talk that is not done just to pretend, but it's really like there's this cliche of doing ça va, and it's like a thing that is needed for a conversation because this is how we grow up.
Right.
So it's always like asking people and always like having depends on how much you like the person, but it's always a bit like, hey, how are you? And then you just say a little bit of something. And here in Iceland, it feels very weird because sometimes I'm asking this to people I know, I meet every day, and they're a little bit concerned that why is she talking to me and why is she asking this? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And also in Iceland, it's the physical contact, I think, are very specific. You have to be friends or in a relationship to touch somebody.
Yes.
So, which, for example, for me is a little bit strange sometimes.
Yes.
Because I want to come to people and just be like, hey, and they're like, oh no, you entered my social bubble. I don't want you to touch me.
Yeah, true.
But I would say that it's also nice here with Icelanders because they all speak English, and if at some point I don't understand what they say or they don't understand what I say in Icelandic, that we can just switch to English. So or sometimes Danish, so there are like different languages that you can speak to be understood and to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Which may not happen so much in France, because as I said, it's mostly French.
Yeah.
So this would be like something that I think would not really happen in France. So I really like it here. And otherwise for the differences, I think it's mostly about how you talk to people and how you interact with people that changes. And what I like here is that once somebody like wants to hang out with you at least once, it means you are friends.
Yeah.
As least like a local person. Once you have like one coffee out or you just go out for a walk, then it means you're friends, and this will not change. And this is like this would be like maybe a bit more tricky in France.
Okay. I have done a video before to talk about the difference between Southern Europe and Northern Europe, because I personally lived in Greece, Cyprus, and Norway, Iceland. So there's a lot of things that I can actually connect with what you said.
Okay.
So like this way of greeting to people. Yeah, I realized that here in Nordic countries, people don't really like strangers. They don't ask like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of only limited to people who actually know each other, like more close to each other. So it's not just like a greetings. So if you ask your friend, like in Nordic countries, how are you doing? They would actually really come back with an answer that may be shocking you. Like, I'm not doing good. I'm suffering with these things or that things, and I'm feeling stressed. Because they are regarding you as a friend. So that's why they can actually open themselves to you. So once again, you can see kind of like the honest sort of how important, like, to be honest, in the Nordic society. Yeah. So the last question I would like to ask you is that what would be your suggestions to the people who are from France or some other Southern European countries that have a different culture compared with Northern Europe, that they are moving to Iceland?
Okay. The first thing that comes to mind is to say that it seems obvious, but that here everybody knows everybody. We can also say this like, I know everybody from my town or anything, but here it's very different. It's really like you meet somebody and it's the cousin of somebody else, and there is always this little thing. So just to say that be careful that to just know that everybody can know each other, and you can always meet somebody that knows somebody that you know. Also, maybe I think one of the good things would be to learn a little bit of Icelandic, because here, at least with my experience, most people are nicer to you or like more open to you if you speak a little bit of Icelandic, even if it's just hi, hello, I would like to help, can you help me with this and that?
Yes.
So to learn a little bit of Icelandic, and also think that here most of the administration paperwork works on your kennitala, which is like your security number, and that it helps you with many things. And I think it's also very nice to think about it, that you just have to remember one number and everything seems like very easy to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. Regarding the speaking language part, I mean, for foreigners, I also have something to want to say.
Yeah.
If you're a foreigner and you do have learned some Icelandic and you want to speak with Icelanders, this is a good thing. Means that you are respecting their culture, and then it will get more sort of connection or feedback from Icelanders. But every time when they ask me that tala þú íslensku, which means do you speak Icelandic, I always say ég tala smá íslensku, which means I speak a little Icelandic. But they don't hear a little. They just hear I speak Icelandic because they are very excited generally that foreigners speak Icelandic. So they just don't hear that I do actually only speak a little. So then they will start to talk to you like very fast and a lot of Icelandic.
That's right.
Until you're getting confused completely.
Yeah.
So then I had to kind of like switch back and forth from English to Icelandic because still I wanted to speak Icelandic to them. It helps me to connect with them more.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a thing to think about.
Yeah. Any other suggestions that you may actually think of?
Yes, I would also, but I would maybe just be repeating myself, but to think that the greetings are different, and it's not because somebody does not like talk to you so much that they are not your friend or they are not like thinking you're a nice person or anything. And as something that I heard a lot about Scandinavian countries, that you have to get involved into their life to be part of their life for real.
Yeah.
So to not hesitate to be part of clubs or to try to talk to people, and even though they do not answer or even though they seem a little bit shy, by doing it and trying to speak Icelandic and showing that you're nice, they will after some point know that you're a good person and worth to be in their life or in their social circle.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so much about the part 1 video. So in this video we have went through some questions and we talked about the difference between France and Iceland.
Yes.
But stay tuned because the culture difference between France and Denmark is coming up next. If you like my video, please don't forget to subscribe my channel and share my videos with people who you think that they might be interested. Alright, thank you very much for today. Au revoir.
Au revoir.